Hey guys, I'm here to talk about Jupiter into Taurus coming up on May 16th, which is a few days from now, and that'll be going until May 21st of 2024. So we'll have a full year of Jupiter in Taurus. It's not going back into Aries. It's not going to peak into Gemini and come back. It's just full on Jupiter and Taurus for one whole year. So as I said, this is one of the biggest transits of the year, and it's definitely one of the best. We have the greater benefic, which is Jupiter, in the sign of the lesser benefic, which is Venus. And I'm mostly today going to be focusing on abundance. Taurus is the sign of abundance. When we're in Taurus season now, so you just have to walk outside, and you can see the abundance of nature as flowers and grass and trees are growing, and animals are doing their thing, and it's just kind of a riot of activity and growth. And that is the sign of Taurus. And of course, Jupiter is a planet of abundance and expansion. So I wanted to talk about how we can just sort of key into that abundance for the next year. I think the way things are going, a lot of us could use that, and use getting into that mindset. Uh, and I'm going to talk about the Taurus Scorpio axis and how it relates to our vagal system, and somatic therapies. Taurus being representing the parasympathetic nervous system, which is about rest and healing, and Scorpio being the sympathetic nervous system, which is about uh, recognizing danger and acting accordingly. And it's this axis has been really activated for the last year and a half, mostly by the nodes of being in Taurus Scorpio, which is about to end in a couple months, I believe. So yeah, that's this area of your chart has been really activated, not only by the nodes, but also by the Saturn Uranus square of last year. So yeah, the fixed signs in general, really we're feeling it last year. And so we're going to talk about that, and talk about where Jupiter has been. So we're putting Jupiter into Taurus into context in terms of where Jupiter has been, where it's going, and where what's been going on in Taurus. And I think that's really going to help us to see where we're at and where we can go with this. So where Jupiter's been, let's just go back a couple of years, where Jupiter entered Pisces. I don't have the exact date in front of me, but Jupiter spent almost exactly a year in each sign. So 2 years ago, more or less, uh, we had Jupiter entering Pisces, and that was about dreaming big. Pisces is the end of a cycle, if we consider a planet starting a cycle in Aries. So it's the 12th sign, or um, and so whatever processes had been going on, we're dissolving, and things are getting prepared for new birth, a new process. And so Pisces is like the incubation chamber. It's the womb of creativity and new thoughts, new ideas, dreams. And so Jupiter in Pisces was dreaming big about 2 years, 1.5, 2 years ago. And then about a year ago, a little more than a year ago, when we had Jupiter into Aries, that was about taking some of those dreams and just trying stuff. And Aries doesn't have like a big plan. It just wants to get out there and do things. So maybe you took some of those dreams and you just tried stuff, and so now as Jupiter is entering Taurus, it's about evaluating some of that stuff, some of those dreams that we um you know brought into reality in kind of a an Aries way, which is again, it's kind of unformed, you know um not a big plan, but it's got that energy, it's got that excitement. But what happens with Aries is then you can't really sustain that excitement. So we may have um been excited for a while and then kind of felt that fade. um and so now in Taurus, it's the perfect time, if you're still want to pursue those dreams into reality. Now is the perfect time for some Taurian kind of action, which is very practical, very grounded, very day to day kind of plodding along, in just small acts, that may not, in them, each one in and of itself may not seem like very much, but it's about accumulating uh, enough of those day by day to see something grow. That is the Taurian way of achieving things. And with Jupiter and Taurus, that kind of behavior is apt to bear great fruit. So with Jupiter there, those small acts could really add up to something way bigger than we could imagine. um but the key is to, well, there's a couple of keys, but the first key is to just sort of plod along. A book I've and I have a, I'm sure as many of you do, I have a real problem with that kind of steady discipline. So I read a book years ago that was really helpful, and it was called Mini Habits. And the idea is to just pick whatever it is you want to do and make a daily habit so small and so doable that you can't possibly not do it. I mean, the only way you could not do it is if you forget. And if you forget, don't beat yourself up. That's, it's not a big deal, but you might forget. Maybe you can set an alarm every day to do that. But so I mean, for instance, if you wanted to build upper body strength, you set a mini habit to do 1 push-up a day. Now, if that's all you do, you're probably not going to end up building a huge amount of upper body strength. But the idea of it is that once you do the 1 push-up, you're probably going to do more. I mean, but you don't have to. That's the thing. But you're probably going to do more than 1 push-up. Now, when you say you start easily doing 5 push-ups a day, maybe you do more, but you do at least 5 push-ups a day, you're going to be tempted to up that mini habit to 5 push-ups a day. Don't do that. You want to make the habit so ridiculously easy that there's just no question that you're going to do it. If you want to start journaling, make a mini habit of, I'm going to journal for 1 minute a day, or I'm going to write 1 sentence, or something like that. For me, with like the astrology thing, good one for me, and I had this goal, is just to try and do 1 post a day. And it would seem to be very easy. My problem is, if you've seen my posts, they're usually really there's a lot of work that goes into my posts. I really like to dive deep into subjects. So for me, it would just be to do 1 post of any length whatsoever a day, either, even if it was just, hey, the moon's in Sagittarius, cool, or, just wanted to say thank you to, all my readers out there, or whatever, but it would just be for me to do one post a day. And then in the midst of that, um, I would certainly be doing some posts that were longer and more meaningful. But it's a way to keep connected to that on a daily basis. So that, that's just a little hint as far as approaching things in a Taurian way in the next year that, maybe will help some of you like me, if some of you are like me that have a problem with discipline. So yeah, that's where Jupiter's been, and you can look and see what houses it's been going through to maybe get a, a picture. But there's probably been something you've, like I said, you were dreaming about with Jupiter and Pisces, and you started, you planted some seeds with Jupiter and Aries, and now it's time to tend your garden. So I mean, there's probably you can probably think of something in your life that fits that, and that you want to continue, and maybe you've lost the spark for, because, like, Aries is just, it's not sustainable in the long run. So this is to say that this Jupiter and Taurus energy will help you if you tap into it. So that's where Jupiter's been. As far as Taurus, it's really kind of been through hell, like most of the fixed signs in the last year and a half. And I've written a couple of times about when the first eclipse hit in November of 2021. So it's about a year and a half ago. And just how it just really, knocked me down, like, emotionally, and brought up these issues that I hadn't felt with that degree of intensity for many years, and issues of like abandonment and stuff like that. And so that, when you've got the moon in Scorpio, these are the kinds of things that are going to come up. If you go to the opposite sign of Taurus, it's ruled by Venus, so that's about relationship. The moon is exalted there, so that's about deep bonding, right? So, being in relationship and feeling the bond with people, with creation, is part of the Taurus experience, and it's part of this feeling of abundance, and but when we have an eclipse and with the moon in Scorpio, we're going to have our wounds relating to our ability to bond, our ability to be in relationship. We're going to have those kinds of wounds come up, and it's giving us an opportunity to clear those, start to clear those wounds, because that is what I realized, just as we had our last eclipses with the nodes in Taurus, Scorpio, is that this core wound of not being loved, how it relates to abundance and attracting abundance in our lives. It's totally related. And I hadn't really looked at that. So it makes total sense that all this stuff is signified by Taurus, relationship and deep bonding and the life force, and wealth. It's all related. You don't have to go back that far in history to get to the point where, yeah, your wealth was totally related to the life force and the biosphere, because people lived off the land. So it was very obviously connected. Wealth was, your the plants that grew in your fields and the animals that you tended, that was a huge part of your wealth. So, and also your social contacts. um Commerce is about relationship. That's Venus, that's the moon. um but I'd like to look at, again, going back to what I mentioned before, um Taurus, Scorpio, as the two signs to me that most clearly signify the the vagal system, our system of safety slash danger, where we have the parasympathetic system in Taurus that is allowing us to rest and recuperate, and the sympathetic system in Scorpio, which is sensing danger. um so this could be a really good time to do some trauma work, some somatic trauma work with Jupiter in Taurus. And the North Node in Taurus for the last year and a half has been kind of nudging us to go there. The South Node in Scorpio has been kicking up these primal wounds, and then the North Node has been pushing us to um, find some healing, find some rest, find some connection. um Somatic work is about uh identifying what feels good in our bodies. And I didn't know that when I got into it. I wanted like to get into what all the bad feelings and like try to purge them out of me, and it's just that's not really how it works. It's about really connecting with that sense of safety in yourself, and finding that in your body. And that we've if you've been traumatized, um you've lost that. And I've been living in a sense of you know non-safety for my whole life. So I don't need to experience the non-safety. I know what that feels like. So for me, doing the somatic work had to do with uh discovering what does safe feel like. What does connection feel like. What does being bonded feel like. And then from that space, we have an expectation that our needs are going to get met. And that, I think, is really kind of the very definition of abundance. And so, you know for my chart, I've got my MC at 27 Taurus. So naturally, I'm kind of thinking about abundance as far as um, career stuff. I mean, this whole thing has followed me getting into astrology, dreaming about astrology a couple of years ago, last year, getting my website up, doing other stuff, getting serious about um, posting and getting some readings. And now, you know, Jupiter and Taurus doing that, just sort of real grounded, practical day-to-day work of keeping this thing going. Uh, it could be so it could be career stuff, it could be relationship stuff, wanting to branch out in terms of your social circles and meet new people. That's a very Venusian thing to do. It could be about anything that's artistic, that would certainly relate to Venus. And it can also relate to healing, uh, especially alternative healing, herbs, like I talking about earlier, the somatic um, trauma work, any kind of work like that, yoga, yin yoga, just getting rest, you know, um, it's so hard for us in this society to just, when we feel tired, take the rest. And I've really been trying to surrender that to my body in terms of that. Lately I quit nicotine, I quit coffee, and I've had some mornings where I got up, and then half an hour later, I go back and lay in bed for an hour or two, and then I might lay in bed again in the afternoon. Maybe twice, maybe once in the early afternoon, once in the later afternoon. And I'm just, you know, right now I don't have a day job, so that may change soon. But I'm taking the opportunity to let my body rest, and that is a very Taurian thing to do. And it doesn't have to be indulgent, but it's just, do I feel tired? Does my body feel tired? Yes, I'm going to go rest. Just listening to those uh, signals from your body. And I think with Jupiter and Taurus, that will bear fruit. You know, so I think, to sum it up, Jupiter and Taurus, it's potentially a time of uh, slowly building um, business or relationships or creative things that we want to pursue, or and it's a great opportunity for healing. Especially on the bodily level, as Taurus is fixed Earth. So yeah, it's not a lot of fireworks here. Um, there's not a lot of scary transits, but I think it's a very auspicious transit, and I hope some of this can give you some hints on how to use it. Now, I probably should mention that we're going to start out with Jupiter in a T square, right at 1 degree of Taurus, T square with Pluto and Mars. So it might be a little bit rocky going for a week or two. And so, we're actually probably feeling that right now. And, for the next week or two. And so that's, there could be some power dynamic issues with Mars and Pluto squaring off against Jupiter. There could also be issues, Mars and Leo being really championing the individual, and then Pluto in Aquarius, being about the collective. So there may be that kind of tension in there, as well, individual collective tension, uh, power dynamic issues. So, it's not going to be totally relaxed from the get-go. But once we clear that, then Jupiter will pass the North Node, and I think that will, kind of remind us of some of the issues that have been coming up with these nodes in Scorpio and Taurus for the last year and a half. Jupiter will pass that, and maybe we'll have some ideas on how to heal some of the stuff that came up. And that'll, there's not really any big scary transits after that, with Jupiter in Taurus. It will conjunct Uranus one time, so there may be some disruptions there, but Jupiter Uranus has a lot of great things going for it in terms of creativity. And Richard Tarnas has written about the Jupiter Uranus cycle, which is a 13 to 14 year cycle in terms of artistic stuff and also scientific breakthrough stuff. I was born under Jupiter Uranus in 68, and 68, 69, we had some of the greatest music that has ever been produced, or certainly that's been produced in the last century. The albums that came out in 1968 and 1969, if you look at the list of those albums, it's just, we had Woodstock, and just, it's phenomenal. So Jupiter Uranus can be, uh, real dynamic. And then we will end up with uh, Jupiter next year, Jupiter trining Pluto as it leaves Taurus. Um, so yeah, that basically sums it up. So yeah, I hope you've got some projects that you want to give some time to, and I wish you all the abundance and prosperity that Jupiter in Taurus can bring, and many blessings.